This is the YOB ConvoCast, one-on-one conversations with your other brother's authors, community members, supporters, and friends.
What's up, friends, and welcome to the YOB ConvoCast, conversations with people in and around this YOB universe. And I am so excited. I'm always excited when we have a first-time guest. And not only is he a first-time guest, he is also taking the honor of my first-time in-person studio guest. He is here in the Jewel of the Blue Ridge, here in my studio. I'm not recording this over a Zoom line hundreds of miles away from my other guests. He's one of our, I feel like, semi-original supporters. You're like early mid-range supporters, and his name is Dan. What's up, Dan?
Hey.
What's up? You go back like
4 years.
4 years? Okay, I was gonna say
four years in December.
Wow.
Christmas 2017.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That season? Yeah. Was it Christmas Day or was it Christmas season that you joined?
No, it was like around the 20th or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Around my birthday.
Very, very nice. That's awesome. The fact that you're still here 4 years later speaks to the magic of our community.
That's right. It's a magical place.
It's a magical place. And
full of fairies and pixie dust.
And you're a magical man. Thank you for, how does it feel to have that honor to be the first person to ever record in this room with me? That's got to be special.
You know, I'm not surprised. I've had a lot of firsts with you.
We were talking about that last night. Yeah.
And so I'm not surprised. It's just kind of the luck of the draw for me, you know?
Yeah.
It's the lot in life I have.
It's the lot in life you have. I'm hoping that we will have more of our Patreon supporters, because I think there's a lot of interesting people out there that would make for great ConvoCast. But let's start with you. You're here. We've had one other one. Shout out to Keegan. I'm trying to think if he is our only other Patreon supporter at this point to come on the ConvoCast. We have other contributors and other authors on YOB who have contributed to these episodes. But tell the people, since a lot of people listening are like, who is Dan? Not to be confused with Daniel. We're calling you Dan on this show because if they see Daniel, they're going to assume it's our Filipino Londonian correspondent. So that is not you, right?
Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever be confused for a Filipino Londonian, you know.
No, not at all.
Londoner? I think it's a Londoner.
Maybe a Londoner. Yeah,
it's
a
Londoner.
Yeah, that's right. It's Londoner. Shout out to Daniel. We might have him on soon. So we'll see. It'd be funny if we had back-to-back episodes of Daniels. Because you're a very different Daniel. Tell the people a little about yourself, whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I am a 30-something millennial. Proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Work in healthcare. Healthcare hero over here.
You are a hero. COVID hero in our midst, y'all. Right here.
Don't really have a home right now. Wandering the earth. Enneagram 6 counterphobic. Part of you just got to get that in there whenever you can. So living life, having some fun while doing it. Visiting the
good
beautiful,
fun, safe fun.
Sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, visiting the beautiful Blue Ridge. It's a rainy day right now.
It's a rainy day.
But you're here.
Yeah, rainy day, sad day. But, you know, some people like that. You got to have
I love it.
Different strokes for different folks. So
I love it, except our plans, we're morphing our plans because you're visiting for a couple of days. We were going to go on the Blue Ridge Parkway today, it's America's scenic byway.
Yeah.
And it's cloudy, so I don't think we're doing that today.
Yeah, I don't. It would just be a drive on a wet road. That would be what that would be.
But we'll see. You're coming at a good time though, because the leaves are pristine.
Yeah, the leaves are pristine. Driving in yesterday was quite wonderful.
Yeah, so we're gonna check those out. But yeah, you mentioned being an Enneagram 6. We have a lot of 6s in our community. One of our most represented numbers, along with 9s, 4s, and 2s. I think that's like 90% of our community right there. So
hey guys.
So 6 representation. We don't have a lot of 6 representation on the podcast, unfortunately. So the fact that you're here gives a voice. Now, I don't know how many counterphobic. We're not going to dive into Enneagram too deeply because that's that's another show. We'll have an Enneagram show one day, but that's not for this. But if there is a counterphobic 6 listening, you are represented finally at long last. You're our first one. So
yeah, welcome. You are not alone.
Not alone, truly. So Dan, lots of firsts. I wanted to talk to you because we have spent a considerable amount of time together on the good old road.
Indeed, we have.
We have gone some places. Yeah, I helped you move across the country once. And one of my favorite memories with you was it was in New Mexico, I think. And we parked on a one-way, not a one-way street, but like, it wasn't technically a one-way street, but I mean, it was in a sense that we were driving a U-Haul.
It was a dead end.
It was a dead end street. Yeah. So there's no way to loop around basically. And we were trying to park at an Airbnb that you had booked. And we start progressing down this street and you're also towing a vehicle in the U-Haul, and we're moving down the end of the street and you have like no way to turn back around.
Right. And Dan is great at a lot of things.
Do you want to tell us, how that progressed? Because you were in charge. This is your journey.
It was my journey.
So tell us what was going through your mind as you're ferrying your vehicle with a giant U-Haul down a street that dead ends.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what I was going to do. I mean, my mind was racing. But didn't sleep, just went to bed that whole night, tried to back it up, and that just wasn't going to happen because, like I said, Dan's great at a lot of things, but backing up a trailer is not one of them, unfortunately. My Midwest roots are not showing there. And then tried to go to bed just to sleep on it, trying to just trust the Lord that he had taken care of me. Mm-hmm. And he did. That next morning, some local firemen that lived across the street that had just gotten off work helped us and helped me and got it all off. And I was like, oh, yes, turned it around and made it work.
We enlisted the help of a fireman. Yeah. Wasn't that amazing?
It was great. It was a 60-year-old getting ready to retire guy and his son-in-law who were both firemen who just gotten off the night before. And I was like, man, way to go, America.
Yeah. And then it's kind of funny and quirky looking back on it. At the time, it was kind of traumatic. It was like, oh gosh, how do we get this car to turn around, this whole truck system to turn back around so we can get out of this neighborhood? But it worked out. And then that trip was such a gamut of emotions, because then on the other side of that trip, if you remember, my grandfather passed away while we were eating breakfast at a restaurant in, I guess it was Albuquerque. I don't know.
Village Inn in Albuquerque.
Yeah. I got the text from my dad that my grandfather passed away. And he had a stroke several years ago. He was not doing well. So it was expected. It wasn't a out of the blue thing, but that was the first time I've lost a couple distant family members over the years, just a couple. I've been very blessed as far as family members and longevity, but yeah, losing my grandfather on that trip was definitely the biggest gut punch I've had as far as losing a family member goes. And I experienced that with you on that trip. And there are moments where, you just never forget where you are when things happen in life. And that's one that jumps out.
Yeah. Y'all, we were sitting at a booth. I was when we were eating, he had his phone in his hand and he just looked at me and said, he just died. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It was just so matter of fact. I was like, oh man.
Because did I tell you? I think I told you that my grandfather was
he was
sick.
I think he was like on hospice or something.
You were aware, he was in a hospice care. So yeah, I had to change plans because I had this big plan of you were gonna fly me back to where I left my car in St. Louis, I think, and then I was gonna drive back and visit some people on the way to Pennsylvania, because I kind of in my head planned it out okay, I'm gonna go be in Pennsylvania when my grandfather passes and then be there for the funeral and services and all that. And he died a little sooner maybe than I was expecting as far as my travel plans go. So luckily it was toward the end of our trip. That was toward the end of our trip together. And we still had a week until the funeral was planned. So I was able to fly back in time, but had to cancel a bunch of stops that I had wanted to see. And just kind of the nature of that is that you have to roll with the punches, but it is what it is. And you were so supportive. It was just, I couldn't imagine Dan like being with anyone else for such a revelation. So thank you for supporting and loving me so well during my first family loss, my first significant family loss. It's appreciated.
#loyal.
He's a loyalist, y'all. Find you a 6 to be with you when your loved ones pass away. He'll be there.
A 6 that loves you.
There are 6s who don't, but to be fair, there are other numbers on the Enneagram that don't love you well either. And we talked about this a little bit last night. Like you said something very wise last night as we're going back into Enneagram talk, which happens with us a lot. But you said something last night to the effect of every number is kind of the worst in a way. Because if you're unhealthy, regardless of what type you are, then you're just an unhealthy person. But if you're healthy, by contrast, every number is also the best.
Yeah.
Except for, well, we won't name numbers on this show.
We won't name numbers, yeah.
we have a synchronicity as far as kind of our favorite or least favorite numbers. But you lean into your 7 wing a lot now lately, which I appreciate because I love the adventure-y, silly side of 7s that kind of bring balance to the force of my dark, sad, foreboding self.
Yeah, I have been. It's been fun. Been letting it fly, baby, fly.
Fly, baby, fly. I have 1 kidney. Does that concern you as someone involved in healthcare? Do you think I'm okay? What are my odds?
I think you're very fine.
Okay. Have you encountered many 1-kidneyed people in your career?
I don't know.
You don't look that far.
I mean, you would have to get a CT scan, and we don't put everyone through the scanner.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. Yeah, it is what it is. Did you have any kind of reaction when you learned that your friend only has 1 kidney, or that I had an autoimmune disease? What was going through your mind as a clinical minded person?
I was wondering what in the world is happening to him.
Were you trying to diagnose me when I was sick?
Yeah, of course. I was like, what is going on? And the fact that you were losing so much blood made no sense to me. Your joints hurt. And I was like, this is so weird. I'd never heard of GPA before. But
yeah, I was losing blood. My joints were hurting.
There's just so many weird autoimmune diseases out there that I mean, most healthcare providers have never interacted with. I mean, you have to go to like a rheumatologist like you do.
Yeah. Well, it satisfies my heart to be so unique because
I bet it does.
3 out of every 100,000 people get this. And I'm so blessed. Wow, so fortunate,
So, yeah. Right.
And I did all the odds. Like, what are the odds of someone getting granulomatosis with polyangiitis and only having 1 kidney? It's astronomical. Yeah. I am and being attracted to men.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could keep getting super niche, but isn't that amazing how special I am?
Is it niche or niche?
I always say niche. Niche kind of gives me an air of pride or uppityness. That's kind of the vibe I get if you say niche.
Yeah. Pretense.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Dan, in my head, I was joking with you that I have all the topics in my head and I should have written them down because I was supposed to open up with this question with you. So let me, I mean, this is going to play in real time. So pretend like this was the very first question I asked you. Okay. Are you ready? Why are you gay?
Oh, that's sad that you didn't ask me that the first time.
I know.
That would have been fantastic.
That would have set the tone so well, right? And I'm really annoyed with myself now because we were talking about Daniel, our Londoner, our Filipino Londoner friend, who loves that video. I mean, if you guys don't know, there's a YouTube video. You have to check it out. If you just type in "Why are you gay?" you will find it. If you haven't delighted yourself to this video, you will enjoy it. And I think, Dan, if my memory serves me right, I'm pretty sure I introduced that video to you.
You probably did.
I think I did.
I think you did. Yeah.
Because I think I said that to you once and you were like, what is that? What are you saying? It's like an interview. Yeah. It's like an African channel interview, something. It's fantastic.
Of someone who's trans, not gay. And so it's like
it's a guy trying to understand. Yeah. Like what is
just no context for, so just leans over. Why are you gay?
Yeah, and Daniel loves it. It's a beloved video in our community. So I meant to start off with that, but oh well. We'll just pretend that's how we started for time traveling. Now that the interview this isn't an interview. This is a
Conversation.
It's a convo. Now that it's like over halfway over, just pretend like that's how we started.
Not to be confused with a convocation. A conversation.
Right.
That's what we call the convocations we had to go to in college.
Because you went to Bible college.
No, just a liberal arts Christian school.
Okay. Daniel, though, I need to bring this up. So in our closing minutes, this whole interview is in reverse. This whole conversation is in reverse because I wanted to start off too with the fact that one of my first memories of you was you attended our first retreat.
Indeed. That's where I met you, Thomas.
Yeah. That's where we first met in person. So this would have been 2018. You mentioned earlier that you joined YOB Christmas of 2017. So this was just like 5 months later.
5 months later.
5 months later, which I give you props. There's a lot of people in our community who would never dare dream of going on a YOBers retreat.
Tackle the fear before it tackles you.
5 months into joining, you were all about it. But my very first memory of you, because like we have, at that time we had I don't know what the exact number was, but we had over 100 patrons. So I can't possibly know every single person. And so I had seen your name. I recognized your name, but you had never been on a Zoom call, never seen, like, other than your Facebook photo, didn't really know what you looked like 3-dimensionally or anything. And so we had a pre-retreat Zoom call to kind of say this is our first retreat. Like we wanted to just kind of give everybody some sort of baseline of expectations and what to pack and what to bring and what to expect when you come. And so we had like 35 people pop up on this Zoom call, our biggest Zoom call we had ever done in YOB to that point. And as we're taking questions, because I opened it up to questions after we did everything, and I see Dan, this guy, you had like long hair at the time, like down to your shoulders. It was like, who is this hippie surfer dude? raising his hand, because there were a couple of people who raised their hands, but for the most part everybody there was just kind of chilling, just watching. It's like I think everyone was trying to feel it out. And so all of a sudden, this like surfer dude raises his hand, and you ask the most out of left field question I was not anticipating. You were like, so is it okay if I bring a hammock and I just sleep outside? You wanted nothing to do with sleeping in the cabins, the intimate cabins where we had like 30 bunk beds lined up like military barracks. You wanted none of that.
Yeah. It's so crazy because a couple days later, someone that I knew texted me the same thing. It said something about, what about the camaraderie? And I'm like, what? Oh. And because I was thinking like, cabin in the woods, like being outside, camping. I'm not a huge outdoorsy person, but I'm like not a small outdoorsy person either. And I was like, I have a great hammock. It would have been fun. Like maybe have some other guys do that too. But no, I get all the criticism of, what are you doing? Why are you sleeping outside? And then I felt bad, but whatever.
But you did it, right? Did you sleep?
I did. The first night, I didn't sleep. It was so cold.
Yeah.
And it rained.
Yeah. The first retreat, you guys, for those that were there, it was a monsoon like the whole weekend. Skies lifted the last morning, but like basically that whole retreat was indoors under like covered roofs outside. It was crazy. But that's so special because you were so bold to like ask an out of left field question. I was like, who is this guy asking if he can sleep outside? And in my back of my mind, I also was wondering like, but what, don't you want to join the camaraderie of sleeping besides all these snoring people that keep
not
you
at all.
But that's your sickness. And it was funny because that night there was a campfire that was going nearby, and you were there in your hammock, and I just sat up there next to you in a chair across from you and was just starting to talk to you about the Enneagram. And I had no idea. I was very big into it. I had no idea if you were into it or anything. And you started talking about being a 6. And at that time, I'm pretty sure I had never really had a conversation with a self-identified 6. Like, I don't think I ever had that. And so you filled me in on a little bit about how you're wired and what you are all about.
All of my angst.
And we talked about other aspects of the Enneagram. It was so great. Like, there are a lot of friends where I struggled to remember, like, what was our first interaction? How did we become friends? But I became friends with Dan while he was being an outsider, sleeping in a hammock outside of our first retreat. And then we had a conversation about the Enneagram. That was how we started.
That's it. And one of the highlights I feel like we have to talk about this.
Okay. You have a quick story. Go for it.
Quick story. I don't know if it's a quick story, but we're going to try.
We have a couple minutes. Go for it.
We were doing some stuff in Texas on the San Antonio Riverwalk. We were in San Antonio.
Oh, yes.
And if anyone is familiar with the horrific Lime scooters that litter our cities, San Antonio is one of those cities. I'm sure still is.
Mm-hmm.
We were on the San Antonio Riverwalk. I'm sure we were making people mad left and right. And we were getting ready to get off. We were heading to the Alamo, getting ready to get off. And
hold on, don't glaze over that. We were going to see the Alamo, one of America's treasured landmarks. We were scootering to the Alamo.
We were scootering to the Alamo.
We were like 15 minutes away.
And I'm getting a little annoyed at the people in my way. Just like, can you guys get out of the way, please? And I finally passed some people. Like the exit is like, I can see the exit to go up like that. The Riverwalk in San Antonio is down like a trench, and then you go up to like streets and stuff. And we were trying to get up to the street, the sidewalk to get up to the street. I could see it. And it was a little wet. I was kind of veering back and forth, going probably a little too fast, and just ate it and landed. I hit my hiney, if you will, my bottom for the child listening.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I just broke my butt. And lo and behold, I lifted my arm up and saw my right wrist was a Z. And
which is not the shape that it's supposed to be.
Ever, right, ever. And
you're a nurse, you know, you work in healthcare.
And I made eye contact with Tom, got straight into go mode. Tom, I just broke my arm. We have to find an ER. Let's go.
So this is how differently wired people are, because I was like 20 yards behind Dan when this happened. I saw him go down and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope he's okay. Just thinking that maybe he sprained his knee or scraped something or whatever.
My knee that didn't get
I get to him. He looks me in the eye, says, I broke my arm. We need to go. And my heart just drops because I go into freeze mode. I think when catastrophic things happen, you know, between the three options of fight, flight, or freeze, like I'm a freezer. Like I have to like take time to assess, like, wait, what is happening? Like, let me stop, think, ponder, feel, and then I can proceed. But meanwhile, Dan over here is like,
I'm in total fight mode. Like,
let's go. He's already booking an Uber. Like we're trying to he's going up to the street to get an Uber, and like because then I have to like I'm locking up the scooters because you have to use the app to like lock up everything so you don't get charged for whatever. And so I'm trying to do that.
Well, here I am with a broken arm, trying to like figure out how do I do this, and Tom is over here. Let me go lock up the scooters. And I'm like. Okay.
We'll kill two birds with one stone. So then while I was doing that, you're upstairs, and then I climb up to the street level, and you're literally on the ground, and there's like a couple keeled over you, talking to you, comforting you.
Trying to keeled over. I just was getting lightheaded, so I was like, I'm just gonna lay down here because I didn't.
Which again, you're very wise to know like how your body's reacting to trauma and knowing how to like take care of yourself, which is. It was amazing just to like witness like how composed you were with everything that was happening. And so then that couple was so nice. We were joking about this last night. Like they were so nice because they booked an Uber for us to go to the hospital.
But they were out of town, and so they didn't know which hospital to go to. And so the Uber we booked was this guy. Oh my gosh, I still can't believe this happened. He said, yeah, my dad stayed here. Y'all. It was a children's hospital we went to first.
He took us to the San Antonio Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Where, spoiler, Dan could not get care.
Right. They could say, we could assess you, but send you out in an ambulance. And I said, that sounds like a waste of time and money. Bye.
So then we booked not an Uber, but a Lyft to go to the actual hospital. And then it was like... It was crazy. I mean, we're not going to tell the whole story, but we had some moments of like me sitting in the room as they gassed you up and you went out like a light. And I didn't watch them do it. I heard them. I had to turn my head because I couldn't watch. But like I saw them like there was two people. They like grabbed your arm and they like
they had to
snapped it in place or whatever they had to do. Yeah.
So they had to set my distal radius for those of you who care.
Any idea what that is? Yeah.
And then I had to have surgery the 3 days later because I did not live in San Antonio. I lived 4 hours north, and so I had to. That was insane, but it all ended well. I've got a lovely scar and an amazing memory.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many trips, like my grandfather dying and
the trauma,
you breaking your arm, and then you being really goofy and loopy when you came out of it, sitting in the bed. We got some video footage, which we will not share with our listeners, but it's a beautiful moment in time.
Started quoting George Bush. I don't know why that happened, but I did.
And I told you, Dan, last night that I refuse to ever visit the Alamo without you. I feel like if I ever am blessed to visit the Alamo, because we never visited it. That whole thing happened and we had to go to the hospital and then we had to get you back home. And it's like, we never saw the Alamo. So if I ever see the Alamo, Dan.
Do you want to remember the Alamo with me?
I do. I mean, I don't remember it because I've never been.
Right. So you want to.
I want to remember it. And yeah, I want you by my side whenever that happens. So listeners, we'll have a follow-up ConvoCast when we visit the Alamo. Whenever that happens.
In 2073.
Yeah. I don't want to forbid you from ever going there without me. But I'm just saying for my sake, I could never be at peace if I go there and you're not there on a Lime scooter with me. If we don't scooter there, I want to at least get a photo op of standing on a Lime scooter if we don't ride one directly there. I think that would be humorous.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would be something.
It'd be something. Well, from the hammock at the retreat to life on the road to breaking arms and losing loved ones, what a journey it's been, Dan. And we're just getting started. Dan, thank you for coming on. You're, again, only the second Yobber to come on this show. So thank you.
Well, the pleasure is all mine.
Oh, and being my first in-person guest. I hope you're not the last. I hope other people visit in the studio because I was telling Dan, it's so much easier to edit these episodes when there's not multiple tracks going on.
Yeah, make life easier for Tom, everyone.
Make life easier for Tom. Come visit me in the Jewel of the Blue Ridge in my studio and let's record a podcast. That's the only reason I want you to visit, just to record the podcast. No, adventures will be plenty. There's never a dull moment here in the Blue Ridge. As Dan knows, Dan, you visited multiple times now, and I always appreciate it.
Let that 7-wing fly, y'all.
Let that 7-wing fly if you have one. If you're an 8 or a 6 out there listening. Again, you can't have a 7-wing if you're a 2 or a 3 or a 4. Learn the Enneagram.
It'll change your life.
It'll change your life. Dan, one day we'll do an all Enneagram podcast, and I look forward to your thoughts on that. There's enough of a desire for it. There's also a desire not for it out there, but it is what it is. Eventually, everyone will come to know the light of the Enneagram and how it not only makes you a better human, but it makes you a better human, but not just in how you understand your wiring, but the big thing for me is understanding everyone else's wiring and being like,
you're not the center of the world.
The way I see the world is not the correct way. There's 9, well, with the Enneagram, there's 9, but even with the 9, there's all the subtypes. We're going too far down the rabbit hole, but you can reach out to me anytime. Anytime anyone has a question about the Enneagram, I welcome those questions. So yeah, thank you, Dan, again for being on the show. If you guys want to be a Yobber like Dan, he's had the time of his life. Go to patreon.com/yourotherbros and you can become a Yobber too and also gain a friend. No, this can't be guaranteed that you will gain a friend that you'll travel the country with and experience trauma bonds with, but it could. I'm not saying it won't happen. Not that it necessarily
or that you want it to happen.
Yeah, we didn't set out to experience trauma together, but we have. And
we have.
So it is. So it shall be. Thank you, Dan. We look forward to hearing from future Yobbers on the show. Is there anything you want to say in closing to encourage other Yobbers like yourself to come on the show?
Go forth in the power of the Holy Spirit to love and serve the Lord.
Amen and amen. Until we cast our next convo. See y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.